Bringing jobs back to America. President-elect Donald Trump continuing to focus on U.S. jobs. Listen.
We have a combination of Sprint for 5,000 jobs, and that's coming from all over the world, and they're coming back into the United States, which is a nice change. And also OneWeb, 3,000 jobs. It's a new company. And it was done through Massa, and a terrific guy, and we appreciate it.
All right, well, Trump was referring to SoftBank and Sprint's chairman, who also agreed to invest in the United States last month in that very public announcement from the president-elect. Joining me now is BGC partner, senior strategist Steve Cortes. Steve, good to see you this morning, sir.
Thanks, Sandra. Good morning.
All right, well, the president-elect is going straight to companies to create jobs here at home, as far as we have seen. Is this a trend that will continue into his presidency?
You know, Sandra, I think it is. As I think you know, I campaigned hard for him during the campaign season, and I'm very thrilled. This is football season right now, and he's scoring touchdowns before he even takes the field. He's done it. We're seeing it. Well, he is. During the warm-up, he found a way to score. He's acting more presidential than the current president, even though he hasn't been sworn in yet. And counting the days until he gets sworn in, not just because I'm a fan of his policies, but also I'm a fan of the sentiment shift. And because of that sentiment shift, by the way, we've seen an enormous stock run-up. And by the way, conventional wisdom on Wall Street was proven wrong once again. All we heard before the election was if he can somehow win, which no one believed he could, but if he could, that we'd see tumult in global markets. And in fact, we've seen quite the opposite. Markets have soared since he won, and optimism reigns.
We are looking at the Dow. 19,776 is the number you saw there. Every day it feels like we're now on Dow 20,000 watch. I mean, it was like 25 days ago that we plowed through the 19,000 levels. So this market's been hot, and it's been moving fast. But it's been moving in anticipation of Donald Trump's policies being put into effect. He's not even in office yet. The bar's set pretty high.
Right.
Could we see some selling once he's actually in office, sort of buy the news, sell the actual, buy the rumor, sell the fact,
sure.
or sell the news. That's how long I've been off the trading desk, okay?
Right.
Thank you. I also got a couple hours of sleep last night. But seriously, though, I mean, could we see a scenario like that play out?
Sure, I think so, yes. And listen, to take off my partisan hat for a moment and just look, dispassionately at markets, I would say this. While I think we are headed higher because of his policies, because of lower taxes, because of sensible regulation, because of optimism that's reigning suddenly among consumers, given all of that, and given the fact that I think we're going higher, despite that, it's not going to be just a stairway to heaven. It's not going to be a continual ascent. There are going to be hiccups along the way. As far as markets go, I think what they will react most negatively to once he becomes President Trump, will be trade tensions. I don't believe we're going to actually have a trade war, but there's going to be hints of it, I think, or worries about it. He's going to negotiate from a very tough stance, particularly with China. I think that will worry markets, and my guess is you're going to see sell-offs, albeit temporary ones, and I think those are sell-offs to buy. But clearly, I do think there'll be volatility ahead. This is an outsider taking office. It's historic. It's our first ever citizen president who doesn't come from politics or the military. Given that, markets don't know entirely how to deal with it. While markets are very ebullient right now about the prospects of Trump, there will be hiccups along the way.
Steve, it's Dagan McDowell. One of the guests that was on the show yesterday raised the issue of, you get corporate tax cut, you get individual tax reform. But again, if Trump doesn't manage the rollback in regulations within these departments and manage it from the Oval Office, there was concern expressed that you would have these individual cabinet secretaries kind of not getting things done, whether it was within labor, the EPA, the Department of Education, Commerce even. This is where the rollback in regulations is going to happen, and they want to see more leadership potentially from the Oval Office.
Dagan, listen, I think that's an excellent point. While Trump has had a lifetime of managing organizations, he certainly has not managed one this gigantic and this lethargic at times as the federal government can be. My confidence, though, is that he has assembled such an incredible team. You know, I'm a child of the 80s. My favorite show back then was the A-Team. He has really put together the political A-Team, I think, for this cabinet. He's bringing in the best and brightest, many of them from outside of politics. And so I think part of the reason he's doing that is he knows it's going to take those kinds of talents and characters to really upset Washington.
Yep.
The fact is we're not going to Washington to tinker around the edges, but to blow up what is largely a rigged system that works for its own benefit and not the benefit of the American worker. So I also would say, if these people don't do what they say, they'll be fired.
You pity the fool who insults Trump.
All right, let's get to these jobless claims numbers because they just came out. Steve, we've got Michael Block on the desk as well with us. The number 265,000 is pretty much right in line with expectations. Not much reaction in the stock market right now ahead of the open.
No, I think there's relief that this number wasn't higher than the 275 last week. It's roughly in line. I think there's, that was a 6-month high last week. The thing that I'm noticing here is two things. First, 9 states last week and Puerto Rico estimated claims, so I'm wondering how reliable this number is. That's unusual. Number 2, the 3 states that had the biggest increases in claims in this past week were Ohio, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Now, those are 3 states that all went for Trump. The last 2, I'd say, were surprising, Wisconsin and Michigan. It really comes down to, are people in those states going to get jobs, or are they going to be filing more claims? This is what Trump promised them. This is a big reason why they voted for him. They didn't vote for him to make business better necessarily, but if that helps their jobs, then great. This is going to be a big question, something we're going to continue to watch and focus on as this plays out and Steve's A-Team goes to work getting the bad guys and getting jobs.
Well, and I would say this too, regarding the jobs market, and this is ironically, I think we actually want the unemployment rate to tick up a little bit. That would be a good thing for the economy. Why? Because so many people have given up on work entirely. If we can start bringing people back into the workforce, I think we might see that rate tick up. But again, I don't think that's a bearish thing for America longer term. That would actually be constructive.
We need wages up too. That's the other big thing I've been harping on.
Steve Cortes, we've got to leave it there, but your forecast for 2017, S&P finishes where?
It's hard enough to get the direction right, much less an actual target. I know high. I don't know. I believe
higher.
Higher from here. Higher from here. Lower taxes, lower regulation, optimism reigns.
Okay.
America is back. It's morning America.
All right, Steve Cortes, thanks for joining us this morning. Good to see you.
Thank you.